In this match, Bobby Fischer makes a sacrificial pin move and his opponent Max Euwe resigned immediately. So let's see why he resigned. And Fischer is playing with the white pieces here and Max Euwe is playing with the black pieces. It's a Caro-Can defense on the board. So after the E pawn takes the D5 pawn, the pawn is captured back by the C pawn and C4 now make this the Pano attack of the Caro-Can defense, and knight to F6 and knight to C3 is played, and knight to C6 here attacking that D4 pawn, and knight F3 guards that along with that queen. Bishop comes to G4 pinning the knight so that knight cannot recapture in case of a capture of the D4 pawn if it's attacked again. So C into D5 first, and the knight captures back with an additional attack on that C3 knight. Queen goes to B3 over here, leaving this knight as it is because the capture of it could create a double up pawn on the F square. And after yes, and that's what happened in the game. Bishop captures the F3 knight, and the pawn captures back of Fischer, and pawn to E6 now opening up the dark square bishop. Queen now captures the B7 pawn, which was a price paid up for doubling up these pawns over here, and there's an attack on the knight, so the knight jumped to d4, recapturing that pawn back with an attack on this particular doubled up pawn on the f3 square. So bishop goes to b5 with a check, and the knight captures back, and instead of recapturing immediately, the queen goes to c6 with a check. If you close with your queen like this, the rook will be gone. So because of that, and there is no other pieces to close this check, so the king got to move here, so, and the king moves to e7, and after that this knight is captured back, and after that the knights are exchanged and the pawn captures the knight back. Queen comes to d7 looking for a queen exchange, and Fischer is okay with that. He brings his rook to b1, and in case of a queen exchange you will just develop the rook onto the game. So rook to d8 by black, doubling up on the d file, creating a checkmate threat over here. So the bishop moves to e3 here. It's a multi-purpose move which basically guards this d1 square with the rook, and you can also bring up your king here, and this pawn structure along with the bishop creates a good defense for the white king now. So king takes queen and the rook takes back, and after this rook comes to d7 and king goes to e2, allowing the rook on h1 to move across the back rank. Pawn push to f6 now, and rook to d1 is played, countering the rook on the d file, and the rook captures the rook and the king captures back here. So it's important to note that black's pieces are inactive, and the king himself is blocking the activity of that particular pieces. So because of the presence of the king here, you cannot move the bishop, and without moving the bishop you cannot move your rook as well. So the king moves to d7 here, and rook goes to b8 here. So Fischer decides to exploit that opportunity of non-activity to develop, or to to bring his own pieces into activity. So with the rook move, you cannot move your bishop now. This bishop is pinned. If you move the bishop, your rook will be gone. So king comes to c6, and after this pawn is now snatched, and after that g5 is played with the intent of bringing your bishop here to g7 and activating both your rook and the bishop at the same time. So pawn push to a4 now with the intent of bringing this pawn into that the 8th rank, and to queue in that, which will create additional pressure on the black's pieces. And with the rook here, the king is cut off from preventing this pawn push because of the rook here, and the rook here at the same time is also developed, preventing the activity and the development of these pieces as well. So bishop to g7 again, and rook comes to b6 with a check, and after that king goes to d5, and the rook goes into b7 again, attacking this bishop over here. So bishop again goes to f8. There were only two squares for the bishop, f8, or you should go here, which will make your bishop inactive or a dead piece. So f8 is the only good square, and rook again goes to b8. Fischer continues annoying black's pieces, and he cannot develop the pieces again. Bishop to g7 again, and now the rook goes in and places a check, and after the king goes to c6. Again, one more check, and once the king moves away, pawn push to a5. So what Fischer is doing is here is that he's using this opportunity, to pin or to prevent black's piece from moving, and he's pushing his pawn down the board. And this pawn on the f file on the corner is a very dangerous pawn, and it's not obstructed by other pawns, and it can move forward. f5 now, and creating an attack on this pawn over here on c3, and the bishop goes to b8 here. A better move would be to, you could also play king to c2 over here, and rook now comes again to c8, creating a double attack on this pawn, and pawn push to a6. Fischer continues pushing his pawn, and after the rook captures this pawn, the rook to b5 with a check. Actually, Fischer missed a better move where he could have captured the rook of black quite easily. The move is rook to d6 plus check. So instead of going and giving a check at b5, you could bring your rook to d6 with a check, and the king will be looking to move towards this pawn, which is looking to queen. And after that, rook goes to d7 by Fischer. Here, what happens is that this rook is attacking this bishop, so the bishop got to move, and it's also threatening to bring the rook over here, and forcing the king to come down the board. And once it does that, if you capture it, you can just push the pawn and queen the pawn as well. So bishop goes to f8, and after the check, the king will try to come up to b6, and you can grab this rook as it is like that. And obviously king will take this, but you are up in the game by rook, and Fischer will be winning. So but he missed that, and said b5 check is played, and king comes to c4 over here. A better move would be to bring your king over here to c6. So rook to b7, again attacking the bishop, and the bishop goes to d4, now guarding this particular a7 square. And after that, rook comes to c7 with a check, and the king moves to d3, and after that the rook is exchanged, and then Fischer plays bishop to e5 pair. This is the brilliant move that Fischer found, because from this position, no matter what you do, Fischer is winning, because if you capture this bishop like this pawn will just push forward, and in the next move it will queen, and the game is as good as over. So, and from this position, if you place h6 here or any other move without going for the capture, still this a7 pawn move is there. And even if you do something else and go for the let's say you cannot, if you move regardless of what you play here, this pawn is going to queen, and Fischer will win this match. So this is a pin with an unprotected bishop, which led to Fischer's victory in this match. There is also another pin brilliance by Fischer, and we have already made a video of that, but that's a totally different game altogether. And it's too much brilliant than even this game actually. So if you haven't seen it, you can check out our channel. You will be able to find that more under Fischer's playlist. So thanks very much for watching. We'll be back with more such great videos of Fischer and other great players.